Hello there. Tensions are now spreading across the globe as another nation calls for US weapons. While the US helps to arm Ukraine against Russia, tensions are rising on the Korean peninsula. And we now have South Korea asking for US weapons to deter North Korea from any ideas it might have. The South Korean President-elect Yoon Suk-yeol, who is due to take office on May the 10th, is calling on the US to deploy strategic weapons in his country for the first time since 1991 and the end of the Cold War. And according to the Times, he sent some emissaries to Washington to ask the US to deploy what they called strategic assets to South Korea, which is being interpreted as long-range bombers, nuclear submarines and aircraft carriers all armed with nuclear weapons. And this comes after an increase in missile tests by North Korea and rising fears that the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un, could be about to test a new nuclear warhead next week. And it's not just North Korea. Japan is looking at going under the US nuclear umbrella, with Nikkei Asia reporting in March that calls are growing within Japan's ruling party to discuss a nuclear sharing arrangement with the US, a contentious issue for a country that has vowed not to maintain or introduce nuclear weapons. The Japanese do, after all, have to contend with Russia, China and North Korea right on their doorstep. And within Europe, we have the Daily Mail reporting yesterday that Finland is weighing up whether to apply for NATO membership within a few weeks, and that Sweden could follow suit. This comes even though Finland signed an agreement with Russia that it would remain neutral after it managed to hold Russian troops off in the Winter War of 1939 to 1940, but Finland was then forced to hand over 9% of its territory to get the peace. And just recently, Finland was given a stark warning by the Kremlin that it would take action if they did now join NATO. And one Russian Federation senator, Vladimir Jabarov, said the Finns were unlikely to sign a card for the destruction of their country. And don't forget the Australia-UK-US AUKUS nuclear submarine deal that has now just been expanded to include the development of hypersonic weapons and defences against them, having seen Russia use them already. So it looks like the global military-industrial complex is about to see a massive rise in profits and stock prices. Now, the doomsday clock run by the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists that shows how close the human race is to killing itself off is still at only 100 seconds to midnight. And it has been 100 seconds to midnight since 2020, and as far as I can tell, that's the closest to zero it's ever been. But one wonders whether that could change in the coming weeks and months.